Hey y'all. When I tell you that I've had a lot of trouble trying to get this video made, I ain't playing. About 2 weeks ago, I made a really great long video. It was awesome. I had the whole step-by-step details. I was showing you all about how to do the tie-dyed cane. And I can only describe what happened as having had a severe case of cranial flatulence because I accidentally deleted everything and it was very disappointing. So, all that work, all that footage, all that editing down the drain. Cool. So, here I am again, and we're going to try it again. I'm going to show you what I made last week, or the week before last. It came out really pretty, and I wish that you could see how I did it. But I'm going to show you how I do another very similar. The only difference is this is where I made it a blend of the light color to the dark color. But I did it the same way as what I will be doing today. The only difference being that today we're going to do solids, but where I've already mixed the white fully into the colors. The reason I'm doing it is because all of these colors that I'm using have a pretty good translucent kind of base to them, and they don't bake very well. But anyway, when you add white into that, it makes it where it bakes better. It makes the colors pop better. And when you because when you bake a translucent clay, you're going to lose a lot of the tone. It just goes translucent. That's the point. So what I'm doing is, again, the rainbow, because I love all the colors. So I'm going to use the fuchsia. I took, these are, see, I used a quarter of this last couple of weeks ago when I made the other video. And today I'm using another quarter of it. I just took the 2-ounce blocks, and you know how they've got the lines, and I just cut a quarter off of each one. So I'm using the fuchsia, orange. This is the zinc yellow hue, and green. This is the cobalt blue hue, and purple. And so I used a quarter of a 2-ounce block. So half an ounce. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Don't deal with me. I'm not math. I can't. Anyway, so I used a quarter of each one of those 2-ounce blocks. And then I didn't have a 2-ounce block of the white, but I cut approximately a 2-ounce block of white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to half it down long ways, and then I'm going to put it into thirds widthwise. So you're going to end up with 6 relatively equal sized chunks of white to mix into those. Now you don't have to do that part if you don't want to. If you would rather have a more translucent, or use different colors. You use any colors you want to. I like these colors. I think they turned out great with that cane. And I wanted to go ahead and make another cane with the same tones, but do it where it's mixed in all the way, and it'll look like it goes together pretty well, but it's coordinating and not identical, Anyway, so in my Julia Child moment, I have prepared these so that you don't have to watch me do all of that. So we have this pretty, pretty pink from the fuchsia and white. Isn't that beautiful? Oops, sorry. We have this, what would you call it? Oh, the Tasty Tangerine. So pretty. A yummy, yummy yellow. Of course, a gorgeous green. A beautiful blue. And a perfect purple. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take each one of these and we're going to try to make a basically like a squared off snake or log, they call it. And you know, it does not have to be perfect in any way, but we're going to go for, and I think I got fuchsia in my fingernail. Anyway, what we're going to go for is to have approximately a 12-inch long log that's relatively squared off. We're going to, you know, fix it to where this is going to be able to be fitted together. Because what we're doing essentially is we're making an ICAT cane. I googled it. That's the way they pronounced it. ICAT. So, ICAT. ICAT, you do you. Yeah. But, so the cane is striations. It's almost like a static pattern. And the way you accomplish it is that you have blocks that go together, kind of like a Rubik's Cube look to begin with. And then when you turn them diagonally to make a diamond shape instead of a square, then compress that, all of the squares start going into each other, and it makes that pattern that emulates like a tie-dye. It's pretty nifty and it looks really cool, I think. I know that the previous instructional pictorials that I did were not great, and I apologize for any confusion that any of it caused and frustration for you. I really hate that. I never meant to cause anybody any frustration. I was honestly trying to help, but I can understand how it was frustrating, because I went back and looked at it to make sure I knew how to do it again, you know, and kind of see what I had instructed before. And I get it. If I didn't know what was coming, I would have been pretty confused by it too. So I am so sorry. I'm trying to make up for it now. So we're just going to keep on stretching and squaring it off. And I did this mixing ahead of time so that, you know, you wouldn't have to hear the pasta machine, the motor, big fun. And you wouldn't have to spend all that time waiting for me to mix them. The video that I made the other week was 3 hours long, and I tried my best to edit it down and take everything out, but I couldn't make myself take out that much. And I had finally resigned to the idea that it was just going to be a craft along video, and if you didn't feel like having to watch it for that long, then you could fast forward through it, and that'd be cool. I wouldn't not blame anybody one bit for doing that. But I had edited it. It was all great. It was coming together really well. I had gotten background noises out of it. I had even cut out all the times, or most of the times, that I had to clear my throat, because I do that a lot with the pollen, and I have a lot of allergies, so that's unfortunate. But you know, and I had put pictures in of previous things that I had done, and I'd added pictures so that you could see what I was referring to and things like that. I was really happy with the way it had all turned out. And when I went to try to do the publishing thing with my editing program, yeah, it told me that there was not enough space and that I needed to clear some space. And so I tried to do that, and it said there still wasn't enough space, so I went ahead and emptied the trash. And I deleted it all. Everything. So anyway, here we are now. Doing it again. Only this is your first time with me doing this. So anyway, here we got it. We have gotten this all the way up to a 12-inch snake, or log, square log. And the reason that we've done this is because since we're using 6 colors, we're going to need 6 sections of each color to put together. Now, you can easily do this cane with 3 to however many colors you want to put. The only stipulation is, however many colors you're going to use, you need that many sections of each color to put together. I'll show you in a minute, but I'm going to move on to the next one, and I'll probably go ahead and stop talking now and speed this process up so that this video doesn't turn out to be 3 hours long. That one. Quick break here. I did want to say, these don't have to be perfect by any means. You don't have to have them exact. They don't have to be perfectly squared all the way down. They're not even, they're, you know, you can't expect to be able to get them exactly the same size all the way. But just get as close as you can. Just don't stress over it, because this is supposed to be a fun, happy cane. Light and airy, you know, something enjoyable to do. So all I'm doing is, I've got my initial clay here. It's about the palm size, you know, no specifics. But so I'm going to fold it in half. I have this rolled out at the thickest setting on the clay machine. Okay, mine's at 0. Just whatever your thickest setting is, you know, you can roll it out on that, and then fold it in half so that you get it thicker, and then fold that again long ways in half so that it's already almost a square. It's more of a rectangle, obviously, but it's going to be hard to fold this in half again. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could try cutting it and stacking it instead. That would definitely work. You could cut and stack. And however you have to get to the point of being squared off, whatever's easiest for you to do, you do it that way. But so you see I've got it, you know, thick, rectangular, and all I'm going to do is just manipulate it to the point where that it's elongating, you know, and then I'll squish it down that way to get it where that it's more square than rectangular. You understand. But, you know, It's easier to do on the table. I'm trying to show you guys, but it's easier to do down here. So I just smush, smush, smush. You can press down on it that way, and it will help it to keep the squared off kind of edges. Because I know it's always tempting to do the roll thing to get it stretched out like that. But I've found that it's a whole lot easier to go ahead and keep it squared off the whole time that you're elongating it instead of rolling it and then trying to square it. You're gonna be able to keep a more consistent shape throughout that way, and it'll make it easier in the end when you start trying to put it together, when you start trying to have all of your square logs to assemble. It'll make it a lot easier if you did it this way instead of trying to roll it and then square it off, you know? So back to speeding up. I'll catch you up in a minute. Also, always be aware of the bubbles, the air pockets. You do not want air pockets in there. It will ruin your whole look. It's going to ruin the beauty of your design will get eat up from one silly little air pocket. So be careful with them. Do everything you can to like press it out the end. And if you can't, you know, you can always take a knife or a pokey tool and just, you know, do a slit and push it out that way. It'll be okay. Okay, back to it. I'll break in here again and say it is very important to make sure your clay is conditioned well. Make sure it's super conditioned. If it's too crumbly and tough and everything like that, it's just, not only is it not going to go together well for your cane, but it's probably not going to bake well. It's probably going to end up being kind of brittle when you bake it, and you don't want that. You definitely want to get it conditioned really well, and make sure when you bake it at the right temperature, and you bake it for long enough, because I've seen a lot of well, the packaging tells you to only bake it for half an hour for every 15 millimeters of thickness, I think, or 15 minutes. I can't remember. It's way too short a time, frankly, because I've never followed the package directions on baking time. It just is not enough time. You definitely want it to stay in there a little bit longer. And I mean, who's measuring 15 millimeters of thickness anyway, right? I'm not. But so do that. Make sure that it's thoroughly conditioned, because it is vital. And if you can, when you're doing a cane, it's really important as well to try your best to use clay that has the same sort of consistency if you can. Like mine, the blues and the purple, blue, purple, green, they're more brittle. They're more like dried out, kind of. The fuchsia is always way too smushy, fresh, whatever. I don't know. It's way too soft for the rest of the clay. And so I'm hoping by adding this old white into it, it took away a little bit of stickiness. It all went together okay in the other cane that I made last week before last. So, you know, it'll work. But anyway, if you're able, do everything you can to make sure that your clay all has the relative same sort of feel to it, consistency. It will make it come together better, and it'll make it a lot easier for the reducing part. Because, you know, when you've got smushy clays and then you've got clays that are kind of hard, the smushy clay is going to want to smoosh out while you're reducing it, and it just is sad. It makes you sad. It doesn't work out well, and you lose so much of that one, and you're left with all the other ones that were not so compliant. So if you can condition them, though, sometimes you can condition the toughness right out of them. So that's another good reason to have added the white to them as well. I think it helped to toughen that one up, and it helped to soften those up. So there's something else to think about. And get back to it. Also, you can kind of feel when you have spots that are way too thin and way too thick, and you can sort of push the clay this way or that way to sort of even out your square. You know, like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but you know, you can feel it while you're pressing along with it. You can kind of tell if it's way too thin in spots. Go ahead and push some of the thicker spots that way and try to even it out as much as possible, because you want them to be relatively the same size. You know, we're not perfect, so we're not going to make it exact perfection, but if they're mostly the same size as each other, it's going to go together easier. So there's that other tidbit. I'm almost done. I got the yellow done. Got to do the orange and then the fuchsia, and then we'll get to it. So I'll be back. Okay. That orange was being so contentious. I don't know what to think about that. So I'm going to show you the method that I was talking about of cut and stack, because it does make it where it's a little bit easier to keep air pockets from getting trapped in there if you do it this way. So we're going to go ahead and do this one that way. I think maybe with it being a softer clay, it might have made it more likely to happen. Anyway, so you see, you just cut the long piece in half and stack it, if you can make it stack, and try to keep it as even as possible and press it as you go. That will help keep the air pockets out a lot better than what I was doing, folding it over and everything. A whole lot better. So, and then you just cut and stack again. And it looks a lot neater that way too. Cut, stack, press, and carry on. It's neater. I mean, you know, you end up with the same basic thing, but it's still, you're able to keep the air pockets out a little bit better that way, maybe. So let me do this one and I'll be right back. Also, all I'm doing is I'm press down and pull and slide. You can kind of slide your finger on it. It will help square it off too. But you press, and while you're pressing, you can pull just a little bit. Don't, don't totally like yank it out of shape, but you can just press and pull gently. Pet it like a cat. It'll just, it might not purr and, everything, but maybe it won't scratch you either. Who knows? Get back there. That went a lot smoother. I would suggest doing it that way. I'll do it that way from now on myself. The cut and stack is the way to go. So, got this one too, a little bit longer than 12 inches. I know it's because this fuchsia was so soft in the first place, and it's kind of warm in here. So, it definitely stretched a lot easier. I'm just going to manipulate it back into a good shape. Have it laid out there right at 12 inches. Hopefully you can see that. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. You can definitely see it. So, right at 12 inches. And what we're going to do, since we need 6 pieces of each color, is we're going to cut at 2 inches. All the way down the line. So, now it does help a lot to have a gridded area. This is a glass mat that you can cut on. Sorry about that. This is a glass mat to cut on and to work on. It helps a lot. But it's not absolutely necessary. I mean, whatever surface you're working on. If you've got something, just take a regular ruler and mark every couple of inches. It's fine. We're just mellow here. We're making tie-dye. Just be cool. So, take this contentious orange tangerine here. Get it laid out. And the good thing is, if you are experiencing issues like I was, where that you have all of the air pockets in there that will not work their way out no matter how much you cut it. The cool thing is we're going to cut this into sections, so each individual section can be checked individually. So every couple of inches we can hopefully fix that air pocket problem. But if you see that there's a spot that's extra thin, like right here, go ahead and press some of that other into it so that it's balanced out a little bit as much as possible. It's cool. So again, cut every 2 inches so that you end up with 6 slices or sections. And see, we got an air pocket. Let's press it out. Just try to make sure it's not in there. If you're from the South, you probably already know this, but it sure does help a lot if you hold your mouth right when you're doing it. Okay. Now you just do it with all of your colors. Get it laid out, cut each one at 2 inches each. Gonna run out of room to cut. So now that we've got all of our sections cut, we get to start putting things together. This is where it starts to get pretty fun. And you get to see the pattern begin. So I'm going to start with the fuchsia. Just because I like to run in rainbow order, whatever. That's going to be my first one that I lay down. So the first row is going to be really simple if you're going to run in rainbow order. So you put down the fuchsia, you put down an orange next to it. You see, it's not quite the same, but you can push and pull and fix them to where they're a little bit better, right? So next to the orange, you put down a yellow. Next to the yellow, you put down a green. And then a blue. And end it with purple. Oops. Now, isn't that pretty? Just like that. But here's where the fun part comes in, because this is how you're going to get your different striations, okay? So where you ended with purple on this row, on this line, however you want to call it, we're going to have like rows or lines and columns. So on this line, we ended with purple. So on the next part of the column up, we're going to begin with purple on top of the fuchsia. The next color will then be fuchsia, and we'll go back to running in that rainbow order. So we'll put orange next. Then yellow. Then green. And ended up with blue. So now you'll have pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, then purple, pink, orange, yellow, green, blue. So the next column up, the next line, will begin with blue, then purple, then pink, yellow, orange rather, then yellow, green. You'll see, it'll come together. So blue on top of the purple, purple on top of the pink, then pink, and orange, make sure you always try to press any air out that you can as you go. It's easier that way in the end. And we got yellow and then green. So see, as you go up, you just offset the colors. You bring the last one first, all the way up, until you've run out of colors. So let's do that. Okay, that was our last one. So now what we've got is this gorgeous little block of colors, and you can see very distinctly that the beginning color, the pink or the fuchsia, makes a diagonal line up through the middle. See? Where it starts out with the pink and goes all the way up diagonally through the middle. And each color makes a diagonal line as well. So we're going to compress this a little bit, but what we're going to do after that is put it up on its side and make a diamond sort of shape with it. And then when we start pressing it, we'll press it on the pinks. That will make, see, each one of these diamonds will then kind of spread off into each other, and that's going to make your striations. It'll look really cool. Just watch. I have acrylic blocks that I use for stamping, or that regular people use for stamping with clear stamps. I use it for my clay because it's very convenient. It makes it a really good way to press out and compress your clay evenly and a lot more easily than trying to roll it. It's a lot more controlled than simple rolling. But you got to press on it, so you know, got to have a little bit of strength, but this is helpful. Oh, also, while you're doing this, try your best to keep your lines nice and even, because you're going to want to keep them where you can line them up. See, I'm getting a little bit of a dip there on the fuchsia. I'm just going to try to press that back up and pull it back down on the sides so that it's much more of an even straight line, because you're going to want to keep them where you can line everything up as you go. It's not this, you know, it's not like the end of the world if they're not super duper straight and even, but it does make this whole process a lot easier if you can keep them that way. So I'm just going to keep compressing this a little bit more until I get it to the point that I want to flip it and destroy this. So I'm mostly trying to get this to become one with itself more than anything right now. As you see, because it's so warm in here and because it was already so soft, the pink is squishing out more than everything else. So we're just going to have to try to combat that. Don't let it overtake. Don't let it completely ruin the whole thing. The blue is definitely the toughest one. You can tell it's stuck back in there. See how it's stuck in? The pink is bowing out. It's okay. Just keep taking something and pressing it back into itself so that it doesn't get way out of shape, and then just keep on compressing, keep on making it become one solid block of beautiful colors. I think that's just as good as any time to go ahead and start manipulating it sideways now. So see, I'm going to put up a picture of the difference of what happens if what I was talking about in the picture tutorial that I put up before that I called the altered tie-dyed cane. So what I was referring to was the difference between if you have it lined up this way when you start to compress it compared to if you have it lined up like this way. So it ends up looking very different, even though it all does coordinate with each other. It's the same exact colors. You could cut this in half if you wanted to do that and have one that you've compressed this direction, and it will look more kaleidoscopic, if you will, kind of more like the way that I've seen a lot of tie-dye artists now that do really intricate kind of line work with their stuff. It looks a little bit more like that sort of thing than when you have it turned this way, where your diagonal color line runs up and down. This way makes it look like the traditional striated tie-dye look. So it just depends on what you want. And, you know, that's where you go. So if you want it to look like that, you will start it out like this. Have your diagonal line up and down. Okay? But if you want it to look like this, start out with your diagonal line laying down flat. Okay? I want it like this. So here we go. I'm going to put it down, and this is the scary part. You're going to squish it. All of that work, you're going to squish right down the middle. I'm just compressing it, kind of rolling a little bit. You're going to make it like an elliptical shape, you know. But do try to keep your lines nice and even as much as possible. But just take your whole palm, lay it down on there, and just kind of like gently press it into itself. You see how it's starting to get more rounded, top and bottom. It's still pointy on the sides, more like an eyeball or an eye shape, you know. But while you're doing it, keep your lines straight. See, it was trying to get out of hand down here on the bottom where I wasn't paying attention. Keep it in line. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to press it this way. Trying to keep my lines straight, but press down and make it more elliptical. The more you do this, you see how the diamonds, how all of this, well, not diamonds, but the squares, you see how they're going into one another? It's elongating it. The more you do it, the more it's going to do that. So keep your lines. Keep them even if you possibly can. That fuchsia is tough to work with, especially when it's so warm. I am in Georgia, and it's not a terribly hot day, but it's warm enough, especially for clay. So you just have to keep it straight. Tell it who's boss. Keep on pressing down. Give it that little wiggle while still trying to keep the lines lined up. See, it's going more and more striating into the other colors. That's an even better side. So you want to try to keep that diagonal line, or what began as the diagonal line. You want to try to keep that fairly vertical as much as you possibly can. Try to keep it straight up and down the middle. So again, you know, just push the clay around, make it do your bidding, because you are in control of the clay. It should be anyway. Just push it around. See how it's striating? So keep on doing that. And start pressing it in the sides too, so that it, I know we just went for that elliptical shape, but we're going to want to end up with a rectangle so that it can be mirrored. And when you put it together, you don't want these sides that go down on either side, you know. You want it to be flush. So we're still going to press down the center, but we're going to push in the sides, okay? And always, always, always mindful of your lines, because that's what's going to make it look better in the end. You want to have those lines lining up. Flip it over, make sure they're doing right on the other side, because they will get unruly on you with a quickness. Make sure you flip it over and make sure. See how we've got with this one? We got orange on one side, purple on the other side. You want to push on those and push on your fuchsia. So you're just trying to make everything kind of go together like that, but also like that. Okay? And keep your lines lined. Can't preach it enough. You got to keep them lines lined up, because we're going to use those lines to mirror it, and that's where you're going to be able to line it up and make sure that it's going together. The pattern is coming together nicely, you know. That pink is trying to eat that orange right up. We ain't gonna let it completely take it away. Go ahead and take your roller. Your roller. Go ahead and start making sure it's going. I take it on that side too, to help square that up a little bit. Do it that way. We're trying to get it elongated. We're trying to get it rectanguled. I love coming up with new words, don't you? Keep on keeping them lines, baby. See how we're getting more oval instead of elliptical? We're just going to keep pushing until we get it rectangular. Okay? Try to save the orange. If you're using the same colors as me, I hope your fuchsia is a lot more firm than mine was. So I'm going to turn it up on its side now and start pressing down to try to make it more rectangular still, okay? Getting there pretty good. It's going to be time to cut it in half soon. Are you getting excited? I am. They're always so pretty when you cut them open. Especially once you do more reducing and compressing and mirroring and all that. Right now it won't be all that impressive when we first cut it open. It's going to be pretty, but it won't be nearly as good as it will be after you do a few more mirrors. So we're going to do a couple of them. I usually like to do about 3 times. That's my magic number, it seems like. That way it doesn't take away too much of the pattern, but it gives you a good number of striations. See, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yay! Just keep going. Perseverance. You know how to, hopefully everybody knows how to do the wiggle pull. Do it gently, just kind of, you know, press in, hold on and wiggle just a little bit. Just enough to make it know you want it to go that way, you know, but not enough to just rip it in half. Don't go crazy on it. Not yet. We're getting there. Getting close to cutting her open. Sorry. I like to get it to a good manageable size, manageable length. You will know what's comfortable for you. But I like to get it where I can find a good halfway point. Where everything seems to be probably pretty close to the same size and shape and whatnot in there, you know. Still got some air in that orange, boy. That thing was rough. I have never had any be that bad about trying to keep air in it. That's aggravating. Might be a problem down the line. But that's a problem for future me, isn't it? I think I'm gonna have to put some tape on my glass mat here to keep it from sliding around so much if I'm gonna do overhead shots, huh? Now we're getting like a good rectangular shape. Now we've got it compressed out to about 6 inches roundabout. I'm gonna say that's a good part to get to cut it in half and see what we have going on. So I'm just gonna cut it around that 3-inch area, hopefully. You ready? Look at there. It looks like it's so cute. Okay, so I see so much air in that orange. That's aggravating. Press it out as much as possible. Okay, but try not to mess up your lines. Remember, we're going to use those for mirroring. So, is this the right way? Yes. So you see how it is? You want to put your lines right together. See? Line them up nice and neat as much as you can, so that your pattern just matches up and comes together evenly. See? And then when you see that, I love that. Take it and flip it over, though, and try to make sure that your lines come together properly inside as well. And it's not gonna be perfect, but do the best you can with it, because you can definitely see when it gets off-centered. It's not that big of a deal unless you're really, you know, nitpicky about things. So you got that right there. And we're just going to keep on. I am going to compress that more, elongate it again, and mirror it at least one more time. Because that's pretty. And you can stop with that if you like that pattern. That's very cute. I think it's nice. And you could definitely go with something with like that. Wouldn't that be nice for like a Cinco de Mayo kind of thing? It's so pretty. But for the tie-dyed look, you want to keep doing it, because you're going to have more striations the more you mirror it, compress it. Okay? So let's go. Okay. So, I got it pretty close to 7 now. And I tell you, I do that because you see how much overhang is there? You could call it the ugly part of the cane, but it's not, because it's still beautiful colors. And you can make some really nice Natashas out of that. Or just swirly beads or whatever you want to do. But I put the overhang on the outsides of where I'm going to try to cut and have, you know, whatever is not going to be really good looking cane parts hanging over. And then use the center of whatever's closest. See, I've got that much on either side of the 6 inches. So I'm gonna use it as a 6-inch cut and cut it at 3. So we're gonna open this thing up, see how it's looking in there now. And I'm probably gonna mirror it again. See, those air pockets are being boogery today, but look how pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. So line them up if you want to keep doing this. If not, again, that's so pretty by itself like that. Just go with that if you want. But I'm going for that full tie-dyed look again. So turn it over, line them up. See how it is in there? Try to line them up. I can't see it, so I'll have to do this. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and trim this off just because, you know, we know it's not going to be part of the pretty cane in the end. And it's easier to do the stuff. But look at how pretty that is just by itself. I mean, that's the ugly part of the cane. Keep that. Do things with it. You can do so much with that. So I'm going to try to compress this some more. And see how that ends up. So bear with me again. All right. That's a cane. Now we got about 8 inches. Little over. That's awesome. So we're going to just stretch it out to where it is about the same amount on either side of the 8-inch and 0-inch lines. At least that's what I'm going to do. You can eyeball. If you have something like this, you can do it this way if you find it easier. I find it a lot easier this way. So I'm going to cut it in half at about 4 inches. Hopefully in half. A little bit off. Oh well. It's hard to do from this angle. Anyway, you ready? Oh my goodness. Look at, I love it. I love how these things turn out. They're always such a surprise, even to me. They just come together so pretty. And look at all the beautiful colors. 3 is definitely, for me, the magic number. It needs at least 3 mirrors on it. I love that. All right, so let's put it together. And now, what we're going to do at this point is, well, what I'm going to do, you can determine for yourself. Do you want to leave it like this? Because that's cool. That's just fine and dandy right there. You can do all kinds of tie-dyed look with that. You could cut off part of this and keep it this way, and then do what I'm about to show you. I don't know, I like this a lot too. It's hard to tell. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going to keep some of it. I'm going to keep some. So I'll probably keep maybe about 1.5 inches. I don't want to split it completely in half, but 1.5 inches seems about right. I do more with the triangles than I do with rectangles, but I will definitely do something with these this way too. I kept the other one the same. I kept some of it as well this way. So I'm going to cut me off a little bit of this just to keep as a rectangle. Oop. Get your blade to go straight down, hopefully. Or crooked, whatever. It's too hot. Okay, see? There we go. I think it'll be okay. And of course, not all of this is going to be the pretty stuff either. It's going to have some of this butt ends, and that's okay too. We'll get through it. But that is so pretty, just like that. I love it. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Anyway, from here on out, we're going to talk about the triangle, because I like to work with the triangles myself. I think it's really neat when you can make like a hexagon and have it all come together into a circular. I like circles. I'm a fan of circles in general. So, what you want to determine at this point is, do you want for the center of your circles or your hexagons, do you want them to be darker or do you want them to be lighter? Because whatever you prefer, you're going to bring that side to a point. Now with this, with these ones here, I used the darker as the center point. So whenever I make a hexagon, it's going to, oops, that didn't stay well, sorry. I had cut off a slice the other day and I thought I could just peel it back off, but I couldn't. It broke in half. It's okay. See? There we go. So see, when I hexagon it, it's going to have that purple concentration in the center. And you're going to end up with like an orange line that goes around as a border for your hexagon or circle, however you end up doing it. So it just depends on if you want it to be that way, or would you rather have the orange in the center? I think this time, since I did this way, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the orange in the center this time and just see how that looks. Because these will still coordinate. I could still, like, see, they go together really nicely. There's more white in this, but they'll work together. I could pattern them that way. That might be pretty cool. So we'll do another video later on and see how that works out. So what I'm going to do, since I'm planning on doing it that way, is I'm going to go ahead and start. I want to make sure everything's all even as much as possible, okay? But I'm going to start to bring that part in. Now I don't want to just crush it, you know. You don't want to crush it, but you want to start pressing that top part. Whatever you're going to have is your top part. You want to start pressing that inward without just bowing it up, you know. So you can do it this way. You can kind of manipulate that. Everything's getting so sticky. I'm sorry. It's so warm. And I've got the air conditioner running. I don't know why it's being like this. Maybe the lights. Anyway. So you're going to try to hold on. I don't know if you can see it or not. Try to hold on to that top part to not let it bow or bow in. But hold on to it and press in the sides just a little bit. And keep on pushing it back down. Make sure that it doesn't do that to you. Do this way, all the way down the line. Just see if I can lift it up enough to show you. Over here, it's easier to do it. Not really. See how you just kind of press down. Make sure you're holding the back side of it so it doesn't go anywhere. Press down all the length of it and try to get it to go in that way. See how it's doing? This is the part that takes the most time, I think. You want to really be careful with this. You don't want it to completely distort all of your beautiful work. And it can easily happen, especially when it is so warm like this and it's sticky and smushy. And those are technical terms. But see how it's going? And like I said, take your time with it. Be really patient and peaceful with it. But just press along as much as you can, gently pressing in and making sure you're not just folding it in on itself, you know. I'm going to work on that a little bit. I'll be right back. You want to make sure you keep your bottom flat as much as possible. This pinching kind of helps a little bit too. If you can pinch, take your pointer fingers and your thumbs and have it standing up like this, you can push together with your thumbs and kind of pull apart with your fingers so that it's keeping that bottom part trying to point out like that, keeping it squared off at the bottom and pushing it in at the top. See? And it's gonna pucker some. There's just nothing you can do about it. But that's okay. Once you get to the point where it's coming in on itself like that, if you can work with it, that's just gonna make a nifty little pattern down in there. Just as long as it didn't completely just bow up, you know. Just keep on pressing it, trying to make it where it does come to a point naturally rather than a fold. That's what we're trying to avoid, is just folding it up. Don't want to be too aggressive with it. Make sure you're still watching those crazy lines. They do get out of hand. I see at this point we are puckered up at the top, but it's okay. Like I said, it's just gonna make another pattern in it that way. And sometimes those little anomalies makes it come out really pretty cool. Because I've had a couple of them that I've done that almost ended up looking like a bird in the middle when I would put them together that way. So it's kind of cool. Sometimes you'd be surprised at what you find from how it comes together for you. So just keep on pressing it. And again, this is the lots of patience part. This is the longest this is the toughest part of it. Turning it into a triangle. Now I just went ahead and folded it in, and that's okay too, I think. I hope. It'll be okay. We'll find out in a minute. We will find out in a minute. So again, we're just trying to keep it triangular, trying to keep the bottom wide and the top pinched. And I don't know how the thing works. I've seen advertised on Facebook. My friend Jan Montarsi, I believe is how you pronounce his name, with createalong.com. He has a tool. It's a cane builder, I think, or an angle. I can't remember what it's called. I'll try to find a link or at least the information and put it up here for you. I think that it would probably help a lot with this process of getting it to the point after you've gotten it here. I believe that tool in particular is going to help you to get this shaped into the perfect triangle that will come together to make hexagons, or, I think he's got two different ones. That one will make an angle that is perfect for making squares, and the other makes an angle for hexagons. I believe that's how it is. I need to get one of those because it would probably make things a lot easier on me. Sometimes I don't get these right angled properly, and you have to kind of push them into shape when you're trying to do it. But anyway, that would be a very nifty tool if it does work like the way I'm thinking it does. So it might be something for you to look into if you're interested in that. Yeah, look at there. We're getting to it now. See, this time, because of the way that I did it with the purple at the bottom, I will have like a borderline of dark and a center point of light. So that's going to be pretty cool. It'll be like it's radiating brightly outward. That'll be neat. So see how it's come together? It's got a little bit of a bow to it. That's cool. Like I said, when you put them together, when you do your pieces together and make a hexagon sort of thing, they will make a special pattern that way. And you can, at this point, you're pretty well done with this, and you can stretch it out and compress it more if you want to. If you felt so inclined, you could even mirror it again at this point. That would be just fine. I like this level of mirroring on it because it still allows you to see. Let me cut this thing open. It still allows you to see all of the striations instead of turning into like a blend. I have in the past, I have been guilty of mirroring it too many times and having it to where that it just ends up looking like it's a blend, which is also pretty cool looking, but it doesn't have that tie-dye effect, you know. So that's what we're going for here. You want it to look tie-dyed. Pinching is really just your best friend when it comes to making canes, honestly. It's the best thing that you can do. It's a lot better than trying to work with the rollers and stuff. I mean, blocks are good. Blocks are really good for making it smooth, level. Like, I've got this elongated one that's really good for squaring that up, that triangular angle. That's very helpful for that. But for the actual processing of the whole thing, your best bet is just pinch it. Pinch it. Make it how you want it. And you can press it and stretch it that way. You're less likely to damage it and to, you know, mess it up if you're doing just pinches like that than if you start trying to do the roller and stuff. I can't tell you the number of times my dead hands have dropped the roller on there and ruined it. I mean, at least that part of it. You can still cut around it, obviously, but you know, when you're making a cane, you want the whole length of it, at least as much as possible. You know, try not to damage it. Now, obviously, this is very smushy, and I would never recommend cutting into it that soft right after doing this. But, oh, my goodness. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love it. Love it. Now, see, when you put it together, this really needs to rest some after doing all of this to it. You really should rest it and not just immediately cut into it. But it's going to be okay. Now, look at here. Oh, wow. Look how pretty that's going to be when you put it together. I love it. I hope you do too. I hope yours works out really perfect for you. I hope you're pleased with it, and I hope you were able to stand me. So let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to try to do, to try to teach. I also do a lot of paper crafting and, you know, other things like that. So I was kind of thinking about maybe doing a tutorial on some of the maybe card set, box set things. I've seen other, I mean, I got the idea from YouTube tutorials as well, from May, and I know there was a couple of others that have done this, but I did take the idea of the box set of cards and stuff, and I made it much larger, on a much bigger scale. It was not super easy, but I did it, and I made the box for it out of chipboard, so it's very solid. So I kind of thought I might end up doing a tutorial on that if you're interested. Later on, maybe, you know, when I get into cutting these, I will do maybe some sort of a craft along with me kind of thing. Let me know if I left anything out, if you need, you know, further assistance with how to do this. I hope that I got all of the information in there this time. And I hope it was a lot easier to watch than the other ones were. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and let me know what you think. I hope you do this, and I hope it works out really great for you. I hope it makes you as happy as it does me. All right. Have a good day. Bye.